So today was the bike tour of Edible San Diego, organized by the newly created San Diego Food Not Lawns. And the idea was just to get folks out on bicycles and to look at some of the school gardens and community gardens and front yard gardens that people have been putting in to get us excited about the possibilities of a greener San Diego and a San Diego where food is everywhere.
The greatest thing about Food Not Bonds is that it's pretty much the most do-it-yourself sort of thing that you can do, and the point of it is basically to feed and build community just in your neighborhood. And so that's what we do. We've been doing it since about August. We've done it consistently every Sunday in this park. We cook at our house. We receive food from the farmers markets. They give us donations. Organica, it's very friendly. And we also go and scavenge for food. Good food that goes to toss into dumpsters that we tend to receive the night of. That way it doesn't get too bad. Everything we cook is vegetarian. Everything we cook is vegan, actually. And that way no one has any problems with the food. I think it's really important, at least what you're all doing with the gardening and everything. If we could have some way, I think dumpstering ethic kind of turns a lot of people off. They get really kind of weird about it. They don't even know what the food is. They haven't even tried it. They don't even know that it is completely fine. But I think it would be great if we took over the land that we live in and the spaces that we have to grow our own food, and that way we wouldn't have to depend on dumpstering or say capitalism and going out and buying food to feed people. We could grow it ourselves and cook it ourselves with the resources that we have.
We also need people definitely on bikes to do a lot of outreach to people. We want to feed more people. There hasn't been a lot of people here because the trucks have been showing up. But
this has been a work in progress for about, I would say, about going on to 3.5 years now. So, you guys want to come walk through?
beautiful.
Oh, this is one of the projects. We also have two grants given to us. Last year was the first one from Rice Family Foundation, and they gave us $10,000, and they like what we did with the money, and I guess they give us another $10,000 this year. So.
Right on. Good for you guys. Yeah.
So kind of like the purpose of what the principal wants with us is for the kids to grow stuff and to give it back to the community. That's the whole purpose of it. Like last year we grew gladiolas. We had like maybe a couple hundred, and we just gave them around the community, like different businesses and just around the community. So we just gonna walk around. There's banana tree, and we just started planting for for Christmas. We usually get donations, and we give boxes of food to the community. And what we wanted to do this time is to give a little package of our herbs and vegetables to give back to the community on Christmas. So we got basil, there's oregano, herbs,
the beds, these over here I believe are all 4x8, and these are 4x12. So once again, you want to just use the dimensions that lumber comes in. And I nailed the beds together first, the frames. So we just had a stack of all these frames, which made it fairly simple. You just laid it in, then leveled it. These flat stakes, very inexpensive. Get them at Home Depot, Lowe's, things like that, about $3 to $4 a piece. Pound them in, concrete flat stakes for concrete forming, and nail them off, and just make sure you get the top of it just a little bit below the top of the wood, and there you go. It's very simple. The beds in it. We just kind of put the beds in and stood back to see what happened to them. And after a little while, Augustine came over and said, "Hey, what's going on with those beds? What can we do?" And I said, "Well, we'll plant something in them." So it was, we wanted the garden to grow itself in a lot of things. You know, if you build it, they will come. And once we had stuff growing, that caused more excitement among some of the students and teachers.
Are most of the teachers supportive and wanting to integrate it into the curriculum?
We have a handful of teachers who really do use it. I think virtually all teachers will take a time where they'll walk their class through it and they'll talk about it.
Vision of the garden would be to have a space where, even though it's not a lot of property there to grow things, to grow organic vegetables which we can eat, people living in the house, and also share with other people in the community, and try to create a model by which other homes everywhere you see on the street here up and down, even though it's not a lot of properties here, wherever there's lawn, of course, there could be gardens. So this whole strip right along the side here where the cars are parked, that whole strip right there is going to be designated for community gardening space for people that don't live here. So anyone in the neighborhood that wants a plot will probably be divided into like 8 or 10 sections that wants to grow stuff, they can come here and grow it. We wanted to put a drip system in to build like an infrastructure where people living here, you know, because people come and go through the co-op, and we didn't want to have, you know, to depend on somebody to water, you know, the vegetables, at least they suffer and die if somebody forgets. So we wanted to put a drip system in, and eventually when we finish the drip system, it'll be on a timer, and it'll have regulators, you know, throughout to different places that need more or less water. And that way it'll be automated, and it'll save a lot of time. And it'll also, what we did was we tunneled under the sidewalks with a sledgehammer and piping, and then put PVC through that tunnel, and then put the drip system through the PVC. And that way we brought the water, the drip system over on the other side of the sidewalks.
We're growing tomatoes. We have tons of tomatoes out there, but they're not turning red because this isn't tomato season, and it's getting kind of cold. So we're like teetering on whether or not to let them ripen on the vine or put them in brown bags, because once you put them in brown bags, they'll ripen. So we still haven't decided yet. But we did rip out some squash that didn't really make it. There's some other squash, and we built teepees, and we'll show you those, because we decided we wanted to do square foot gardening, and we wanted to grow as much as we can in these small boxes because we don't have a lot of space. So we've never done this before, so it's trial and error. And we just put in seedlings last week. They were too young, and they died because the heat out here, they couldn't handle it. But every time we're out there, the people walk by and they're like, "What are you doing?" They want to talk to us about it, and we engage with them. So one day we come back and there's a rose bush planted in one of the boxes. So we're like, wow, somebody, you know, wants to contribute, but maybe they don't understand what we're doing, because roses are probably the worst flowers to grow because they take a lot of water, and we want to be really efficient. So we took the rose and we didn't get rid of it. We just placed it next to the box. So it's still there. So somebody's watching. And I think the neighbor next door actually started digging up her yard. So we are inspiring others.
Spent a lot more money than we wanted to on buying bags of compost, and not enough even at that, because we didn't really want to go use the stuff from the Miramar dump when we were looking into that whole fungicide scare, and we also wanted it to be organic. So unfortunately we don't have like a big grant, $10,000 given to the garden project to go and do like a lot of things. So when you look at the boxes and stuff like that, they probably, you know, it's reclaimed wood that we found over at a site somewhere, cut it to a certain length. Some of it doesn't match up too well, but it works. So it's a real low budget kind of affair. But what I like about that is it shows that anybody who's living in one of these homes, they have the space that they can do it as well, and they can do it on the cheap, like we did as well. A lot of people would come by and they would be like, "Oh, what are you guys doing? You put a lawn in?" I'm like, "No, we're growing vegetables." And like, "Oh, really?" You know, it's like,
yeah,
you know, light bulb goes off in the head. Really, that's interesting. And then we engage them in a conversation about the whole idea, the whole Food Not Lawns idea, and found a lot of people who were really receptive to the idea. And there wasn't a lot of like conversation with people living here in the community until we were out there digging in the dirt, pulling up the lawn, doing something. People come by and, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And it really like was this real connecting thing with the community that we were living in.
Food Not Lawns is an organization a lot like Food Not Bombs that's sprung up in various different places, from Cascadia to, I think there's one in Tucson, there's some in Canada, and it's just a movement for using our resources, our land, our water, our energy on growing food for people instead of on lawns.